Kicking off our list at number 10 is the tragic case of Philando Castile. On July 6, 2016, Castile, a 32-year-old black man, was shot during a traffic stop in Falcon Heights, Minnesota. The incident was broadcast live on Facebook by Castile's girlfriend, Diamond Reynolds, who was in the car with him. Castile, who had a legal permit to carry a firearm, was shot by Officer Geronimo Yanez after he informed the officer he was armed. The shooting led to widespread protests and raised serious questions about the use of force and the treatment of black individuals in police encounters. Yanez was eventually charged with second-degree manslaughter but was acquitted, fueling further debate and outrage. At number 9, we have the case of Breonna Taylor. On March 13, 2020, Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency medical technician, was killed in her apartment in Louisville, Kentucky, during a botched raid. The police, executing a no-knock warrant in a drug investigation, mistakenly identified Taylor's apartment as a suspect's location. Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired a shot at the officers, believing they were intruders. The police responded with a barrage of gunfire, hitting Taylor multiple times. The lack of charges directly related to her death and the subsequent legal battles ignited nationwide protests and calls for police reform. Coming in at number 8 is the controversial shooting of Jacob Blake. On August 23, 2020, Blake, a 29-year-old black man, was shot multiple times in the back by police officers in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Blake was attempting to enter his vehicle where his children were seated when officers fired, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. The incident, which was captured on video by a bystander, led to significant unrest in Kenosha and sparked discussions about police use of force, especially in situations involving non-compliant individuals. Number 7 on our list is the case of Michael Brown. On August 9, 2014, Brown, an 18-year-old black teenager, was shot and killed by Officer Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri. The shooting occurred after Brown was involved in a convenience store robbery and had a confrontation with Wilson. The case drew national attention, particularly after the grand jury decided not to indict Wilson. The ensuing protests and unrest highlighted ongoing issues of racial injustice and police accountability in America. At number 6, we have the death of Eric Garner. On July 17, 2014, Garner, a 43-year-old black man, died after being placed in a chokehold by NYPD officer Daniel Pontalio. Garner, who was selling untaxed cigarettes, repeatedly told officers he couldn't breathe before losing consciousness. The incident, captured on video, led to widespread public outrage and calls for police reform. Although Pontalio was fired from the NYPD, no criminal charges were brought against him, sparking further protests and discussions about policing practices. Our number 5 spot goes to Laquan McDonald. On October 20, 2014, McDonald, a 17-year-old black teenager, was shot 16 times by Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke. The shooting occurred after McDonald, who was holding a knife, was reportedly moving away from officers. The release of dashcam footage over a year later showed the excessive use of force, leading to Van Dyke's conviction for second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery. This case significantly impacted the dialogue around police transparency and accountability. Number 4 on our list is the case of Tamir Rice. On November 22, 2014, Rice, a 12-year-old black boy, was shot by Cleveland police officers while playing with a toy gun in a park. The officers, responding to a report of a person with a gun, arrived and fired within seconds of their arrival. The shooting of the young boy led to nationwide discussions about the policing of children and the treatment of black youth. The officers involved faced no charges, adding fuel to ongoing debates about racial disparities in policing. At number 3 is the case of Walter Scott. On April 4, 2015, Scott, a 50-year-old black man, was shot in the back by Officer Michael Slager in North Charleston, South Carolina. Scott was fleeing a traffic stop when Slager opened fire. The shooting was captured on video by a bystander, leading to Slager's arrest and eventual conviction for federal civil rights violations. This case was pivotal in highlighting the role of bystander footage in accountability and justice. Number 2 is the controversial shooting of George Floyd. On May 25, 2020, Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, died after Officer Derek Chauvin kneeled on his neck for over 9 minutes during an arrest in Minneapolis. Floyd's death, captured on video, led to global protests under the banner of Black Lives Matter, and sparked an urgent discourse on systemic racism and police brutality. Chauvin was convicted of murder, and the case became a significant turning point in the fight for racial justice and police reform. And finally, at number 1, we have the tragic case of Tamir Rice. On November 22, 2014, Rice, a 12-year-old black boy, was shot by Cleveland police officers while playing with a toy gun in a park. The officers, responding to a report of a person with a gun, arrived and fired within seconds of their arrival. The shooting of the young boy led to nationwide discussions about the policing of children and the treatment of black youth. The officers involved faced no charges, adding fuel to ongoing debates about racial disparities in policing. These cases represent just a fraction of the complex and often heartbreaking realities of police encounters. As we reflect on these incidents, it's crucial to continue the conversation about how we can work towards a fairer and more just society.